Well, hello, my name is Gabriel Antonini from DPA Microphones, and we're here doing a simple chat with Curt, Taipale, and Ivan Talamantes. Did I say that right, guys?
Absolutely.
Very
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
We're very honored to have these two DPA masters on our discussion today. Um, it's interesting because we're all at home thinking of a lot of different things and ways to do production these days, obviously in the world condition. But Curt is I think he's got like over 40 years experience or about 40 years experience in integration and education, and one of the guys who wrote the Yamaha book or a co-writer of that. Um, and he's more on the integration, planning, educational side, consultant side of this business. And Ivan is a production guy and the guy that makes everything, sound sweet and uses all of his tools and solutions in his daily workflow. So it's a neat position we see ourselves in today for this discussion where we have both sides of the fence here all meeting in the middle. So I want to welcome both of you to the show today, to the discussion.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah.
So
Great to be
good.
here.
Thank you so much for the invitation, DPA family. I'm so honored to be with you guys, and also a great blessing to meet my friend over here. I mean, the Yamaha book and the worship book was one of the first books that I wrote when I was starting, and so it's a great privilege to me to be here with my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Curt is awesome. I actually met Curt down, what city were we in, Curt?
Tulsa.
Tulsa.
Yes, sir.
And we came down there. I remember it was a quick turnaround for me, in and out. There was a festival or something going on in town, but we had it was just a beautiful boot camp, I think is what it was called, that we were doing down there. And why don't you take a second to tell everyone what that's about? And,
Yeah, I mean, for the last several years, I love teaching. In the last several years, we've been doing a class called the Church Sound Boot Camp. And we've done about, I don't know, 10 or 12 classes a year. Average attendance is around 100 people. And it's just fun to get out and share things that I've learned along the way, that God has taught me, that I've borrowed from other folks along the way. It's just been tremendous. I'm really an introvert. I mean, I actually enjoy just sitting here working at my desk and working on educational stuff here. But when I get in front of a crowd, I kind of light up, and so it's just fun to get out there and teach. And we just teach audio basics. It's amazing that people sometimes don't want to learn the basics. They think that's boring, but the reality is the secrets to being really good at what you do and really crafting great sounds come from understanding the basics. So, and there's such a turnaround. I mean, Ivan, I'm sure that you experienced just in volunteers and tech crew that you work with. There's a turnaround. People, move on or they get busy with life and that kind of thing. So new people need to come along and learn the same kind of thing. So.
Yes, sir.
And it's fascinating that in teaching the classes, we get a wide range of people with experience where, some people have been doing sound in their church for 15, 20 years. Some people, most people, maybe 3 to 5 years. Some people, their only mistake in life was to walk too close by the sound booth last week and get pulled into the ministry, kind of thing,
Right.
And so it's trying to educate folks and hit the middle is a challenge. You don't want to bore the folks have been doing stuff for a long time, but you don't want to leave behind people that are they're trying to find the on switch.
Yeah.
So it's been a fun ministry.
Yeah, it's so important for creating that reference for seasoned veterans or also just volunteers that are coming to church. It's sort of a comfort zone for DPA too, because we help the volunteers, because basically people buy a microphone, they plug it in and they want to turn it up, and they don't know too much. They get good results, but when you know a lot and when you have the basics covered, it's sort of like there's no right way to do the wrong thing. You have to build that sequence and that gain structure and the placement, so you don't use EQ and you don't use too much processing, only very subtly. So it's extremely important. And I was impressed that night where you covered the basics, but you also gave people a place to gravitate to. Like you gave them an end result to sort of say, you do all this, and you'll soon be able to run your own show.
Exactly. Letting people hear the difference between, in this case, a good microphone versus one that, if you listen to several microphones, just speaking in front of it, they may sound the same, but people don't realize just how important the OffAxis linearity, the DPA calls it. You know, we learned coming up during class that we call it off-axis coloration, because poor quality mics, just the sound coming in from other directions would affect the tonal character. And the fact that with the DPI, my experience has been, and you know, you showed me in the demos that the sound coming in off-axis is the same sound.
Yeah.
It's just softer, and so
Yeah.
people don't realize that, and they don't understand how vital that is to capturing that the sound character real clearly.
Well, it's an invisible art, and I'm sure Ivan's going to add some conversation to what I'm about to say. But you know, the linearity on and off axis. When I just started at DPA, I looked at the chart and I saw 30, 60, 90 degrees off axis, and I saw straight linear lines, and I was wondering why a lot of other companies don't show that graph. I was like, well, let me go look at all my other favorite microphones, because we all have favorite microphones, and I couldn't find it because, and I quickly realized that it's very hard to do. And it takes a lot of R&D, and you couple that with consistency and durability. You need to have something that sounds like there's no microphone, is elegant to look at or to hide, and also very durable for night after night and day after day of use. So Ivan, I'll let you comment on what we just said.
Well, you guys already say everything, but I guess I love. Yeah, for so many years using so many different microphones and brands, I can say with guarantee that I can hear the A/B difference. Because to be brutal honest, I mean, I think any microphone can do a job, but then you have more challenge, like an audio engineer, trying to get the sound that you have in your mind, that you are feeling, you know, in your soul and your heart. And when I start using DPA, I mean, I thought, man, what is wrong with me, or what is happening? Because I start realizing that I need to do less process in the signal flow to arrive to the sound that I was trying to get. A good friend of mine a time ago told me, well, Ivan, I see that you use a lot of DPA products, and tell me, it's really like, it's a microphone that is going to make my instrument better. Like, he's a violin player. So long story short, I told him, well, the answer is no. DPA is a microphone that is going to tell you the truth. And when I explained this concept to him, and he go, man, I totally get it. Like, you know, like, it's a microphone that is going to tell you the truth about the reality that the microphone is hearing or picking up. So with a microphone that is speaking true, then we can go deep and take better decisions in the microphone placement, or have a better instrument for strings, whatever. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I totally agree. And yeah, I also blew my mind when I start using and learning and hearing the result about the response of the microphone out of axis. Because, you know, reality is that we all have the challenge of bleeding into the microphone. Sometimes the singers are soft. That's the reality.
And they're also a moving target. They're going to move around the stage.
Yeah. And then you have drummers that I love drummers. Yeah, we love drummers. Love for you guys. But you know, right there, Gabriel. But you know, cymbals, heavy rock and roll, they go all around the place. So when you have a quiet singer, I mean, that beautiful sound, extra beautiful sound is going into the mic, you know. But then when I realized the beauty of the DPA microphones, getting all the ambience, all this bleeding, but now learning to use the bleeding, getting into the mic in my behalf to accomplish a better result was something amazing, beautiful.
I like to say in the live scenario, when you do get that bleed into a DPA microphone, it's equivalent to having bleed in a recording studio, where you actually, it makes it feel like a live performance because it's so accurate. And face it, the singer's going to jump onto the drum riser. The cool thing about the directional microphones that we make is that they retain the same linearity on and off axis, the 4011, the de facto. So now besides having that linearity and a directional pressure gradient microphone, you also have a great degree of rejection. So if you do have the opportunity to design, you can put that off-axis 135 degree towards what you don't want to hear, a monitor or another player, and then get a very low but accurate bleed. And that is what makes the beauty. I get goosebumps talking about it, because when you're back there and you're chasing feedback all night and you have 2, 3, 10, 20 microphones on stage, like in Broadway, like we do, you quickly realize, and people who don't know the business, just doesn't feel good to their body. They feel the phasing, they feel the comb filtering, they feel all of those issues, and they're not having a good time because sound is invisible. So when we can get out of the way and give guys like you a chance to mix and to feel like an artist and part of the show, it's everything. Curt, you go, buddy.
Gabriel,
You have the crickets.
Yeah, crickets on my phone.
Something I was just thinking about. It's also just the sound character of the mic itself. Y'all brought a DPA demo date to Dallas a few months ago, and so I was in the audience and listened to you're going through the drums, and you were comparing some overheads on a drum kit, and there was somebody's favorite mic up there, overhead mics that they were typically used for the overheads, and so you did an A/B comparison between that overhead and a DPA, and my response was the mic that they were using sounded so bad by comparison that my comment was, I can't unhear that.
Well, you know what, too? The thing for me is that the best comparison with the DPA, and the one that really zones it in, is when you shut the PA off and you have the drummer play in the room for your own ears. And then you turn the DPA on and it just sounds identical, but just now louder. That's all. That's the only difference. And that's sort of what we want, right?
Gabriel,
Ivan, something that we've done in our Church Sound Bootcamp classes when Gabe would come and teach is we have a drum kit, a drummer live on stage in the room, and then he mics it up with the DPA mics, and students can hear just the drum kit by itself, and then play the multi-track back with the mics, and it's exactly what Gabe was saying. Yeah, that it sounds like the same kit.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Ivan.
Other experience that we have in Willow Creek, in the church that I have the privilege and honor to be collaborating in the season in the time. We did one day, I remember we did the A/B test with drums, just with drums. And I mean, we have a really good drum sounding sound, but in the past I mean, we are always trying to combine microphones and brand, and like an audio engineer, I mean, you already have your settings really nailed, like your kick, your snare, your compression, all your sound, or your process, right? Your vibe. But then I remember Paul and Steen, I think they were with us doing this A/B, testing all microphones, DPA microphones for the drum. And they give us the instruction to the audio guys, hey, all right, we're going to A/B now. I mean, we listen all your kit with all your mics and your process and your magic. All right, now put DPA mics on and take out all your process. And I go, what? All your EQs, all your magic, take it out and just do A/B. And man, I was really impressed.
Yeah.
So
yeah. Well,
yeah.
I mean, if you look at the EQ curves on some of the other microphones, you really have a challenge, because drums are perfect because they're close together. There's many microphones. There's a lot of off-axis bleed. So to do a drum set, everybody has their secret. When they hear the DPA sound, it's sort of like they could become very creative all of a sudden, because they don't have to cut this frequency and boost this frequency and do this and do that. They basically have to document the instrument. And that is determined by the placement, because the microphone is going to pick up accurately. I want to talk about something in the church world, because you guys are both involved. And Willow Creek is a great customer of ours, as well as a fantastic church. I think I've been there once. My friend Ron Cook used to work there, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
The partner.
Yeah. So
he's still around. I mean, he's around. We are really good friends. Actually, I'm having lunch later with him today.
Please give him a hug for me, yeah.
I will. 2 hugs for Ron.
And the thing though in church though, that's the main thing. The emotional content is derived by the music and the band. That's one element. The other element is the sermon, and it's quickly becoming not a secret anymore that DPA does the band very well, because for years people know us for headsets and lavaliers and for different types of applications. But the 4099 on drums, the de facto on vocals, the 2011s, that's all in the church market growing very, very good. The choir mics that we have, the 4097. But for the sermon, that's why 51% of those people are there, is to hear the words of the Bible, to hear the gospel,
The
to hear
message, yeah.
intelligibility in the human voice, which is the hardest to do. I want you guys to talk about your experience and your applications for the pastors, because I know there's different types of pastors. There's the guy who's on fire. There's the guy who's soft-spoken. There's the guy who moves around a lot, guy who grabs the podium. So there's that, and there's also the element today of streaming. I think streaming is becoming super important because of the COVID-19. And talk a little bit about if there's anything you guys that's coming across your desk.
Yeah.
Go for it,
Curt,
Ivan.
you want to go first?
No, you go ahead. Go for it.
Oh, partner, we are connected. You are amazing. Anyway, yeah. Well, we love great music and great content, and in Willow we have this thought that we want to generate services and deliver a product that is distraction-free in any possibility. So, I mean, yeah, when somebody's trying to give you not just the amazing music that is going to touch your heart and soul and to get you connected to a great experience with the presence of God, right, that we believe, and for us that we are believers, and with love and respect for the ones that maybe are choosing to believe in a different way. I mean, but in this context of church, so yeah, using a great mic is going to help us to accomplish that goal. But now going to the teaching, or to the spoken word reality, yeah, I think we have all this layer of different guest speakers or pastors that sometimes you can have the really quiet one that is almost whispering, and then the one that go forte, right? The ones that go full rock and roll, 11 to 12. But I hear, we have in Willow we just have it, the Global Leadership Summit. That is a huge event that we do each year, where different leaders around the world, they came into Willow, or we recorded. And this year we did a lot of pre-recorded materials, but the importance of the speech, the importance of the message, either that is in a PA live or now via stream, I just get in love and passionate with the DPA headsets. Also the 4080, yeah, the small lavalier. I think is the best lav that I use in my life, because again, sounds so good, sounds natural. And I have these pictures in my mind about the crazy EQ curves that I did in the past to accomplish something decent, like trying to be. And with these new mics, I mean, with the 4080, the lavalier, or any headset, I mean, to be brutal honest, I mean, sometimes I just do a basic high pass filter just to prove myself that I'm working really hard, that I'm a pro, high pass filter and 80 or whatever. And then if it's noise around or something, I do low pass, I don't know, and 12K or whatever, 13. But sounds so natural for us that we audio through the years. And when we learn the importance about the topic, the transfer function, like input equals output, whatever information you put in the input, you get that in the output. I think DPA is really using this reality in the audio world where, again, using my comment before, like DPA and any model that you choose, wherever you put in the input, you are going to have that reality in the output. I mean, so when we accomplish this in any audio process, I mean, the results are stunning.
It's sort of like having a fine brush, you know, when you're painting a picture. It doesn't blur the lines. You can predict your results almost, and you can have a better experience doing your job, you know, and being part of the music, and being part of, instead of just someone who is slicing and dicing all night and trying to fix things. You know, you need a high SPL on the microphones because of that. You do have the soft pastor, you do have the loud pastor. You need a good transient volume, transient quality. You need to have your capsule be able to move, the diaphragm move quick enough to pick up the subtleties and nuance of the human voice as well as instruments. And, you know, and you need this sort of linearity that we talked about. So it's sort of like, I'd like to say, the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost of microphone specifications. And those three things together are sort of very, very, very good for capturing the human voice.
Also, Gabriel, if I can add, in the same event that we just did like 2 weeks ago, I mean, I have a special of 4 strings quartet, like violin, viola, and cello, and we used 4099s. I mean, now maybe I'm going back to the musical part, but I mean, brutal honest, we put the microphone, we checked the position, and I did a really basic high pass filter. Actually, I did a comment in Facebook, hey, check this out, because I was feeling like a champ, you know, like was something great, and I didn't apply like crazy. I mean, there is knowledge that I did to make the strings sound like amazing. I mean, it's just a high pass filter because I needed, but I mean, I think we accomplished the reality of that what I think should be the result of any microphone, that a microphone that can tell you the truth and translate so well whatever is listening. So I think in that perspective, DPA just nailed it.
It's a solution for you. You know, it's something that you need in your busy night. Curt, do you want to add anything to that? That was great.
Actually, you just brought up a great teaching moment about the that I hadn't really considered, the transient response of the mic, the capsule, and as it relates to the fine characters of a voice. You know, I teach in the class all the time that voice is a complex waveform, but it hadn't occurred to me to share the way you just did about picking up the fine nuances of a person's voice. Now that may be lip smack, but
or dry mouth.
Just the character of the voice. It translates exactly to what Ivan was saying about picking up the true character of the strings. It's the same thing, but I just hadn't applied it to complexity of the voice. So that's
the human voice. The human voice is something that we're all hardwired when we're born to. We're trained from the first time our mothers and our fathers talk to us on what that is. We know when we talk to each other not to go too close. We know that it's sort of about a meter apart is a normal distance between people speaking, and we sort of know when our voice sounds right. We know when it's wrong. Well, that's why a lot of times when people set up PA systems, if they don't have smart tools around, they say, use your own voice. Use your own voice through the PA and get it to sound like you know it should sound, or get it close enough. And you're usually going to be close to where the smart tools were going to take you anyhow, because we know that as humans. So if we could do the voice, we could do the cymbals and the saxophone. That's easy compared to the human voice. So that's sort of something that, and we have a legacy in Broadway and in film and in speech. And that sort of attention to detail just permeates throughout all the instrument mics as well, you know.
Ivan, I got a question for you. What control do you have in various settings that you work with on the choice of using a lapel mic versus an earworn mic?
Well, normally when we used to have live events, I mean, this COVID season is teaching us a lot of new something, right? So we all are embracing what is the new normal or the new way. So in the past, like talking again about the event that we do each year, the Global Leadership Summit, in the past we have a live event, and we always use headsets because we have the PA running and all that. But in this case, we didn't have a PA running. It was just like actually we didn't have any people in the room, just a couple of technical people operating cameras and tech people operating cameras and all that. So now in this event, we use lavaliers because the environment was more controlled in certain way. My first option will be always headset, because I believe that the closer we go to the source, it's going to be better.
Well said.
You know, we have this teacher of DPA that I don't have it today, but it's upstairs, about get closer, right?
Yeah.
It's transfer function, in other words, like.
And we're adding about what, 10, 15 dB more, sometimes 20 by being closer. So we're getting more. We could be in a reverberant space and still get a nice balance between live and direct sound.
That Brixton experiment points out that very thing. It's always revealing for people to see that, even though it's decades old. It's still real.
Curt, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Well, you are a DPA master. I know that you have tons of experience with teaching and all that, but also, I mean, using the great comment that you shared with me in Facebook the other day about the strings. Thank you so much for doing that.
Oh, yes, sir.
I really appreciate it. But what are your thoughts or your approach as well for using microphones and strings or other environment? Like how you approach a cue or how you process when you are using a great mic in a unique, beautiful instrument?
Well, I guess I would say that it's likely the same as your approach. I mean, let me relate this back to mixing in different environments. When I switch from different styles of music, or from going from live to a broadcast mix to like a studio kind of mix, I don't think about it. And I'm sure you're the same way. You mix to get a result, and you use whatever tools you have available, be it a choice of mics, EQ, or anything, to achieve that result. And you do it without thinking. In other words,
correct,
because you've done it for so long, you know the sound that you're going for, that you're hearing in your head, and you do whatever it takes to get there. That's the challenge in teaching is folks don't have those different experiences like any of us here would have, and so revealing to them what it takes, what the choices are, what the options you have, what tools you like, channel EQ versus a good mic. One thing that I again Gabe, you showed in that class just in Tulsa that I've known this, but just a slight change in the angle of a mic can affect the tonal character that you're capturing. I was fascinated. All this time we have to watch webinars online. I was Al Schmidt did an interview with somebody, and he was talking about when he does sessions for himself, that he doesn't go near the EQ, that he places a mic, he listens to it, he goes out and adjusts the mic, and goes back and listens to it, and until he's happy with every single mic placement before he touches an EQ knob.
Yeah, he's a natural.
That hadn't occurred to me, and I've worked in the studio a bunch in the early years, and I would have had time to do that, but I wasn't aware of that character change.
He's a big 4099 fan too on the piano, Al Schmidt. It to me, my philosophy, I have a couple of them. One is on EQ, and everybody probably knows this by now, but if I compare it to a bath. If you want more hot water, turn down the cold. So overusing EQ is just going to give you a horrible bath experience. It's just going to be too much. And also, by placing the microphone, everybody puts high pass filters on everything because we don't have much time to do things. So we know we want to get rid of some of that low rumble or this or that. But if you have the time, every microphone has, I call it where the match lights, where the match goes on fire. So if you're doing a source and you have a microphone and a guitar, there's a thing called radiation patterns that each instrument has. And it's like having free EQ with when you have a DPA microphone, because you know that if you mic a violin here, you're getting a boost on certain frequencies. If you go here, you're getting a cut on certain frequencies. Yeah. If you go here, you're getting, so if you know a little bit about radiation patterns and listen to the microphone, you could sort of like, and you have time, you could sort of like not hardly use any processing or EQ and use volume as well to sort of lower certain frequencies that are getting in the way by moving the mic closer and then turning. You can go down a bunny hole. Sometimes we don't have the time to experiment that much, but it is possible when you have an accurate microphone to really, you know, I'm doing something right now myself where I'm doing a few songs and I'm trying not to use any filtering at all.
Sweet.
So it's been 2 months and I've only gotten one song done. So
you are taking the time.
But it's so cool because when you take the time, you learn that when you're in the situation live, oh, I did this once, and let me just try it on this guitar because that's all I got time for, and it works. Right. And okay, I got another trick in my bag now, you know. So it's all good. Are you guys doing anything with churches asking for streaming capabilities, trying to sort of like do their sermons from home or in the garage, or because we can't really gather right now? You getting any requests for that?
I hear about it all the time. I mean, any church that's already doing broadcasts is kind of like home free. Just another day in the studio, right?
Yeah.
And yet, I mean, as we all know, there's so many churches that this came on them all of a sudden, and they're trying to figure out, what do we do? Well, all these other churches are doing streaming. Okay, what's streaming? So all of a sudden, like overnight, their tech guys are told, all right, figure this out. You know, how do you do this? And that goes back to the comment I was just making about how do you mix for a streaming thing? All of a sudden, it's a little bit of a different world. Well, I wouldn't think about it. Gabe, you wouldn't think about it. You just do what you know to do, but you make the adjustments without thinking through. But folks, that I got a friend sent me a link to his service just yesterday that asking, how did I do? You know, what changes could I make? That kind of thing. It's the very same thing.
Well, yeah. I brought it up because I set myself up too. I wanted to show you guys what I'm using.
Oh man!
So I'm using the DPA MMA, which is a 2-channel A to D.
Yes, I'm very jealous.
6 kilohertz right into the Zoom call. So it's
add it to my list.
Oh, I bring it up for the House of Worship market because I've got a pastor who's local actually, who's using a 6066 on his vocal, but he's playing piano, so he's getting the piano because of the Omni capsule. He's getting more level because he's got a headset on with his vocals. And then in the back, they've got another miniature 6061 where the rest of the family's standing around singing. So it's the worship band in his living room, and then the pastor's in another house doing a 4080 and a 6000 into his iPhone, streaming his sermon.
Nice.
Wow.
So it's sort of a really good solution for the churches, and it's coming up more and more. I've got about 5 churches I'm working with. So yeah, so if anybody that's listening to this wants information on that, just let Curt or Ivan know, or myself.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
That's a great resource.
I think I want to see your microphone, Ivan. What
are you no.
4017? Let's see that 4017.
I'm using the iPhone. Nah. Well, sorry that I'm going to move the camera. You guys ready for the rock and roll right here?
Yeah. So his voice sounds so great. That's why.
Hello, hello. Hello, hello.
There you go. 4017. Is that a 4017C or B? That's a B. That's a B. Yeah.
Good question.
I don't know. You got the filters on there. You got a B.
Yeah, the filters are there.
That's fantastic.
Anyway, no using filters. This mic sounds so good that I just put it right there.
It really does sound great.
And Ivan, why don't you run down some of your favorite mics? Because I see you love the 5100. You love the De facto. How do you use the 5100?
Well, yeah.
What is the 5100?
Well, the 5100 is a beautiful microphone that looks like a football
bicycle seat.
Ball, yeah, bicycle seat. And it's a microphone that have 5.1 microphones inside. So for us that we have a 7,000 auditorium, I mean, and I always trying to nail, and for me, it's really important the response of the ambience. Again, all this pre-COVID, right? Because we right now, we don't have live services. But I always was trying to improve my ambience, the clapping, the people singing in the room, like, you know. So we have 3 levels, I mean, the floor level and 2 mezzanites in the church. So I thought, well, what about if so we asked a demo, long story short, we asked a demo and we hang the microphone with the 5 microphones that are shooting. I mean, it's like really cool because, you know, as far as I'm not using the 0.1 that is the subwoofer frequency because I don't need that content in the ambience or response of the room. But man, I started using that one and my ambience, the response of the room. I mean, it's a huge room, you know, so I was stunning. Like that blew my mind. Like, wow. And now I was hearing what I was missing because, you know, when you have the music or somebody speaking, teaching, I mean, you want to capture, be able to capture the response of the people of the room.
You bring up a great point because when we listen to live recordings and we're seeing them, so we're watching video, our brain is watching video and we're hearing the sound. Every time the audience begins to applaud, that's when everything falls off because now the transients can't keep up with all of not everyone's clapping at the same time. Everyone's clapping at different times, so the microphone has to be very fast. The beautiful thing about the 5100 that I love, it gets used for music, for sports, for audience, is that they're made from Omni microphones, but they're physically chambered. So the 2 rear microphones are Omni in a chamber, directional chamber. The front 3 are Omni with interference tubes to create directionality in a chamber, coincident with each other. But the most beautiful part for me is that you don't get the time delays that are inherent in a larger Decatree.
Correct.
So small, so the timing differences are subtle. So it's very tight. Put it up, it weighs 20 ounces, and you're done.
Yeah, it's time aligned, right? Like if I can use that phrase, it's perfect time aligned internally. So yeah, when I start zooming those 5 microphones and start getting the result, like each fader was summing, adding beauty, adding something. Yeah.
Now Curt wants one.
So the first time I heard about it, Ivan, where in the room do you have that?
Yeah, we have actually in the top of the front of house in that position, but close to the mezzanites, but hanging from the ceiling. So it's shooting to the 3rd floor at this moment that, I mean, we are not using, right? It's so bad. But when we used to have people in the room, I mean, it was a really cool
How far
experience.
above the audience?
Maybe 12 feet, 15 feet.
Really? That close? Nice.
Yeah. They're also fun to make layer cakes with if you want to do immersive sound. You've got the channels because you can go closer to the floor. You can go 12 feet above that. And then you can also face different directions with the front microphones and really capture the whole space, you know, vertically and horizontally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So super, super cool.
That would be interesting to hear.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It would be. I want to do an experiment. Maybe we could do one this year as soon as we're allowed to go out and play again.
Absolutely. That would be a great experiment.
Yeah, well, we're all like-minded, man. We're all, you know, all the people that really get the quality sound capture and how important it is. And people who don't know much about it, they feel it and they get it. You have a better time when sound is great. So DPA, you know, keeps us up at night to do that. I think we're going to be heading down the road to ending this meeting soon. So I want to offer to you guys to sort of talk about just about anything you want, a story, a moment, or a question, and then we'll end it after those remarks.
Thank you so much. Well, I want to take a moment just to express my gratitude to DPA, to the DPA family for this opportunity. But also I want to share a word of encouragement with all our colleagues that get affected because of COVID and the season. I think it's really appropriate. I just want to say I'm really sorry for those that get affected, losing jobs or getting some challenge that we all are getting, right? So, but again, I don't want to go in the downside of this. I want to give a word of encouragement and to express my love, my support for all people that we all, I mean, we all are learning what is the new normal, embracing and learning in the season. So come on, don't give up, family. We are going to be better, stronger if we continue together, building each other. So I just want to use this opportunity to express this word about don't give up. Please reach a friend if you are feeling lonely or sad with some sadness or something. Reach a friend. We are a strong community, audio engineers. I mean, reach somebody, raise your hand and say, hey, I'm feeling these emotions, and speak with somebody. And I'm available to listen if it's needed.
That's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I would share those same thoughts. The sense of community, I think, is important. We have had something we call the Church Soundcheck discussion group for 23 years, and it's been an email listserv up until recently, and we're just now in the process of moving that to a kind of our own private social media kind of thing where we can share pictures and videos and files and that kind of thing. But just that sense, I hear it every day that both the folks that are struggling with and how they're dealing with in their church the restrictions about the COVID has brought, but also reaching out to learn more. I mean, when we ask people when they first joined this network group that we've got, their response almost 100% is that they're joining the group because they want a sense of community. They want to learn more. They want to stay on top of new technology, and they want to do a better job of what they're doing, and they want to share, what they know with others that are out there. So that's been tremendous to see during this time of people, looking for friends that understand them and being able to communicate. That's what we've been about for all this time, and we'll continue to do as long as we can.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I think I could speak for Leonardo, Jared, myself, and the whole DPA family when, we say we're completely honored and, dare I say, proud to have guys like you in the Masters Club and out there sort of using our products and also just being good guys and educators and just I do echo what Ivan said, that we will get back to normal soon. This has been a big blow, but I think we're going to come back with it. Actually, if we come out of this and we find a cure and everything's good, and we have a way now to have no delay when we do streaming calls, maybe it'll open up another avenue of income that we can have. So think positive. But thank you guys so much, and please hang out after we end this in a few seconds, and everybody give a nice DPA wave goodbye. And
bye, y'all.
Take care.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody. Blessings.